Hi everybody and welcome back to Kevin's Upfront Opinion today. So I thought I'd ask this question. Is Nigel Farage the best person to lead reform? Now, I've always quite liked Nigel Farage, even though I've had a few digs at him, especially recently. I do actually quite like the guy because I think sometimes he speaks a lot of sense. A lot of the time he speaks absolute BS, probably spending too much time around Donald Trump, to be honest, over the years. But I question, is he the best person to lead reform? Because in some respects, I would say yes. And in other respects, I would say no. So if I say why I think he is the best person. Because the reality is, come the last election, if Nigel Farage hadn't come back before the election, would reform have got the 5 MPs? Would Rupert Lowe got his seat in Parliament? Or any of the others? Lee Anderson, any of these people? Don't think so. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if any of them would have. Now, people can come back at me and say, oh, yeah, they would have. I very much doubt they would have. Okay, but there's no way to prove it or disprove it at the end of the day. We can't go back in time. We ain't got a time machine. Okay, maybe we should go find out the Doc or Michael J. Fox, Marty. Maybe they'd be able to get us the time machine, the DeLorean and everything. But otherwise, we don't know. But from a personal opinion, I would say generally, I don't believe so. Were they doing that great in the polls? Not really. Were people talking about them? Not really. When did people talk about them? The very moment Nigel Farage said he was going to come back. Why? Because he's a popular person. People resonate behind him and understand him. No different to when he was a member of UKIP and when he was a member of the Brexit Party. Whether he started it or not, I know obviously there's been the allegations lately that he's going to get sued by the person that says that she did start the Brexit Party, but that's another story. Okay, so would they? I would say no. And it's only because he came back. Otherwise, there probably wouldn't be any reforms MPs in Parliament as they are at the moment. Would there be so much hype at the moment about them doing well in the local elections up and down the country? I would suggest, yet again, no, there wouldn't be. So, does that mean Richard Tice is a lesser leader than Nigel Farage? Now, when you answer that question, you've got to look at it in context. Because Nigel Farage, because of his massive ego, his ego is so bloody big, he wouldn't even be able to fit through my front door. It is that big. So if he's right that he's going to win the next election, okay, and he's going to take 9 current Labour cabinet seats, I will say BS for now. And if it was a hung parliament, that Reform will be the biggest party. At the moment, I will say BS. Okay, until I can be proven otherwise, because at the end of the day, 4 years into an election, like I said yesterday, 4 years, not today or anything, not next week, not next month, not later on in this year, not next year, 2029, August 2029 is the latest and next election. Now, one might get called this year. I'll be very surprised when it comes to Keir Starmer. So, the next question is, would Richard Tice make a better leader? And in some ways you would say yes, and in other ways you would say no. Now, the problem is if you had Richard Tice as leader, you'd probably lose all your MPs. You probably won't gain any. But Reform as a party would probably be more balanced. When I say it's more balanced, if Richard Tice was in at the moment, I would suggest you wouldn't have had the problem with Rupert Lowe. I don't think you probably would have had it. It would have been dealt with in a different way. Was Rupert Lowe wrong to come up with some issues that he saw in the party? I don't think he is, because that's the fundamental thing. If you're running a big party, and this is what Nigel Farage has to understand. If you're running a large party, okay, where you're facing having hundreds of thousands of members potentially, if you're like the Conservatives of Labour, you've got hundreds of MPs, potentially thousands of councillors up and down the country. If you can't manage all them egos, you're not going to be able to be a leader. And this is something Nigel Farage should understand. For somebody that's worked in the city, for somebody that was in charge to a large degree of UKIP and the Brexit Party, and he can't manage 5 egos because he wants his ego to be the biggest and he wants himself to be the most important, which then brings you back to the fundamental question: is he the right person? And I would generally suggest no, he's not. He's the wrong person to be in charge. He's the worst person, because eventually that party will combust if he doesn't step down at some stage, whether that's at the next election, a year's time, a couple of years' time, might be in a decade's time. But eventually, if you keep him there, because of his style of management, that party will combust. Because if he wants to get that big and grow it that much and wants to save the country's bigger, and a party, it's no different to the old analogy to do with football. A football club's always bigger than any one player, as the old saying goes. And what Nigel Farage needs to understand, but Reform will always be bigger than Nigel Farage. And it should always be bigger than Nigel Farage. But at the moment, Nigel Farage is bigger than the party. And that is a big problem. So for today, should I say, let us know what you personally think. Is Nigel Farage the right person? Do you think he is? Let us know in the comments down below. And also, if you are new to the channel, if you could please subscribe, I would appreciate it. But for now, thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you again a bit later.